Hello and welcome to Nithrania Game Club. My name is Branislav Berec, and in this video I'm going to preview a game called Pingyao, the first Chinese banks, which is coming to Kickstarter soon, and for which I already did 2 videos, rules explanations for both the base game and the expansion, and I decided to make the 3rd video, this preview video as well, because I wanted to let you know how this game impressed me as a heavy Euro player. My favorite games of all time are games like Food Chain Magnate, Brass Birmingham, Barrage. So it's not easy to impress me as a Euro player, but this game did it. And before I tell you how and why, let me first explain briefly how the game works, and then I'll come back to my final thoughts. As the name suggests, the game is about building first banks in China. Each player has a set of dice. 2 dice in the first 2 rounds, and starting with the 3rd round, players will have 3 dice, and they place these dice on these 6 action spaces on the game board. Each player has a player board, and there are 9 regions on each player board. This area is the player's headquarters with 2 silver ingots as the initial fund, and each player also has a starting branch in one of the regions, also with 2 silver ingots. This area is the central bank area, and if needed, players can take a loan in the form of these 2 silver ingots. And this area also represents the central bank, but in this case, players can lend the silver to the central bank and earn some income at the end of each round. The game is played over 8 rounds, and each round has 4 phases. In the first phase, players will roll the dice and place them on this area, and then in the second phase, in the action phase, starting with the die with the highest value and continuing down to the die or dice with the lowest value, players will take the die, place it on an action space, and perform the action of that action space. If they're not happy with the value of the die, they can re-roll the die just before they take an action with the die. With this central action, players can establish a new branch. There are 3 levels of branches, level 1, level 2, and level 3. And while the level 1 branches are the cheapest to establish, the interest rate in these branches is very low. Level 3 branches are very expensive, but the interest rate is higher. When establishing a new branch, players have to move some silver from the headquarters to the new branch, and each branch has a limit of how many silver ingots can make profit each round, and that can be increased by these discs which provide branch managers, and the branches also have special abilities, which are activated only if another manager sits in this president slot. You can hire these managers using this action. Now, the action in the top left corner is the Remittance Action, which is the heart of the banking business. When taking that action, the player would draw 1 card from this remittance deck and place it next to the player board, and the placement depends on the duration of this action. And with the remittance, the player has to place 1 silver ingot on any branch of this color, so in this case it's green. And then, when the remittance card would expire, the player has to withdraw the silver from the branch with this color. It has to be one of the branches, or it can also be headquarter because it counts as the branch of any color. You have to decide on this withdrawal branch right now, and to indicate it, you place these cubes of the same color, and that means when this remittance card will be due, you have to withdraw silver from the headquarters in this case. I should also mention that the value of the die determines the strength of the action. So in this case, based on the value of the die, the remittance can be placed either to a duration period 1, 2, or 3 rounds. With this action, you can interact with the central bank, and you can interact in 2 ways. You can either take loan from the central bank, and you take these 2 silver ingots and you place them into your headquarters and place this meeple to indicate the duration of the loan. Or you can also give loans to the central bank, and in that case you have to move silver ingots from your headquarters to the central bank. As you can see, at the same time you can have a loan from the central bank, and you also give loan to the central bank. The interest rate you get from the national bank at the end of each round depends on your fame, and that fame is tracked over here, and you can increase it by using this action. Finally, when you take this action, you can acquire one of these government tiles. Each one costs 1 silver ingot, which is a donation to the government, and in return you get one of these powerful bonuses. Then in the third phase, income phase, you gain income from all the branches, from the loans you give to the central bank, and also from special powers on some of your branches. And then the fourth phase is just an administration phase. All the loans are moving one period further. The game time progresses by 1 virtual month, and at certain point in time you have to return the loan back to the central bank, and the merchants will withdraw their silver ingots from one of your branches or headquarters. At the end of the 8th round, whoever has the most points is the winner. You get 1 point for each silver ingot you own. You get points for establishing level 2 and level 3 branches. You get points for your branch managers. And if you progress on the fame track or on this remittance track, you can also score points at the end of the game. Finally, if you have a level 3 branch with the branch manager, these branches also score victory points based on their conditions. So, one of the reasons why this game impressed me so much is the simplicity combined with depth and variability. The game only has 6 action spaces and players have 3 dice, and they place these 3 dice on one of these 6 action spaces. So that's 3 moves per round. Nothing else. Nothing else. With only 6 action spaces and with only 3 dice, you can create so many different games, so many different strategies, viable strategies in this game. You can chase the remittance business, and with each action, with each transaction, you gain some money and you gain more silver, and you can open up new branches thanks to that silver. Or you can just build as many branches as possible and gain points for the branches and also for the silver. Or you can increase your fame and give loans to the central bank for a very high interest rate. You can combine it with different government tiles for different bonuses. So much to explore in this game, so much to discover. You won't be able to do it in just 1 or 2 or 3 games. I am motivated to play this game again and again and again, and even after 15 plays, I still don't have enough. Then I love decision making in this game. Every decision counts, every decision is important, and every decision is very tough. You have to do a lot of balancing and long-term thinking, long-term planning. For example, coins and silver. You can only buy silver at the start of each round, which means you need to know what you're going to do during the round. Because if you buy silver and that silver is doing nothing for you, it's a waste of resources. If you don't buy the silver and then you find out, oh, I need that silver, it's too late. Sorry, you won't be able to get it. Government tiles. If you buy them early in the game, they can provide powerful bonuses. But they cost silver, which is very scarce resource in the early stages of the game. If you buy it in the later stages, it's, there's a lot of silver available already, but the bonuses are not so powerful. Even the subtle moves like rerolling dice before taking actions. You can reroll high value die and get a low value if you're lucky, and then you can take a powerful action which improves your strategy, which improves your chances to pull off a great move. Or you can reroll low value die, and if you roll high value die and place it next to the low value die, you get some coins, which is very powerful in the early stages of the game. So this game is not autopilot. Even if you know the strategy, even if you know what and how to play, you still have to be able to execute that strategy. Unlike other games where you simply gain resources and then spend resources and gain a building or something else, in this game you don't really get resources. You move them on your player board. You move stuff. You take the silver and you move it from your headquarters to build branches. You can give it to the central bank as a loan. You get silver from the remittance business, then you have to return it back to the merchants, but you make some money in the meantime, which you can use for something else. So you're constantly moving and shifting silver and coins, and it's a different type of thinking than just getting resources and then spending resources. Different sort of thinking ahead and planning and calculation. Fantastic. And another reason why I like this game so much is the sense of accomplishment. It's an engine builder, so it's okay that in the first few rounds it feels very slow. You only make a few coins as a profit each round. It's barely moving from one round to another. You can increase your income with remittance actions because you can gain some silver from those merchants from remittance business, but then you have to return that silver back. In the meantime, you can make some coins, but there's no silver accumulating on your game board. So at the end of third round, it may still look almost the same as at the start of the round. And then you start scratching your head like, how on earth am I going to make this engine running? However, somehow you figure it out, you do something, you have new branches, or you increase your fame and you get higher interest rates in the central bank, and suddenly you can buy a silver and still have some coins for the next round, and it starts rolling, and by the end of 6th, 7th round, you can make 30, 40 coins per round if you play well. And comparing these 40 coins, which is basically enough for buying silver and still have enough coins for establishing a level 3 branch, this feels so great. The curve is like going very, very, very slow and then massively improving. So the sense of accomplishment at the end of the game, at the end of 7th, 8th round, looking at what a profit I'm making each round, and other players looking at the player board and says, wow, that's a lot of money, 45 cons per hour, wow, fantastic. This is what the game offers. This is what gives me every time I play, because comparing the end of the game to the start of the game, it's a huge difference. So if you like Euro style games, if you like economic games, I highly, highly, highly recommend this one to you. It's going to stay in my collection, definitely, there's no doubt about it. It will be one of my most favorite games. Scales well from 2 to 4 players, and even has a fantastic solo mode. You can improve on your strategy in a solo mode. You can improve on achieving certain objectives using that solo mode. So in all player counts, plays really well. Playtime very reasonable. Of course, if you play it first time with new players, it will take some time for them to figure out how it all works together, and they will quickly realize what mistakes they did already. And at least in my experience, these players want to play the game again immediately when we finish the first game. That's how engaging it is. So highly, highly, highly recommend it from me. That's it. I hope you like it. Check this game when the Kickstarter will launch. When the link will be available, I will post it below the video. My name is Branislav Berec. You've been watching the preview for the Pingyao, the first Chinese banks game, and hope to see you next time.